All right, what is going on? Today we are going to be talking about how to get better credit. We're going to jump right into it. There are 5 categories that the FICO credit score looks at in order to be able to determine what your credit is. So this is categories that I don't think a lot of people understand or really know about. And that's why we're going to talk about it today and really what percentage of that credit score is really the most important. So as you can see up here on the board, the 5 categories are payment history, amount owed, length of credit history, new credit, and types of credit used. So going to that first one for your payment history, that actually makes up 35% of your credit score. Now this is huge. If you have a bad payment history, this is where you need to be getting improving that right now. The number one thing that you can do to improve your payment history is to pay your bills on time right now. So everyone does make mistakes, and sometimes you are going to be late on paying a bill. And if that does accidentally happen, just go ahead and call your creditor up and ask them if they could please remove that red flag from your credit history. Very often they will do that if this is not something that you're late on all the time. And this is a huge area. The second thing for this area, and kind of into our second category, is actually going into paying off your credit even faster. So that's kind of knocking down your payment history. And what you want to do that is to pay 2 times a month. This is going to reduce the amount of interest that you pay per month, and I have another video actually on how you can pay off 2 times a month and really what kind of difference that will make for your payments and your interest. The other part of that is 30% is the amount that you owe. So if you owe too much, that's where you need to pay down your credit right now. And as you go to use credit in the future, you can follow the 10% rule. So if you have a $1,000 credit limit on your credit card, aim to only use 10% of that. So only use $100 of that $1,000 credit limit. And this is for a few reasons. The top being that you can't get into as much trouble if you don't use all of your credit, and you'll be able to more easily pay that off because the amount that you owe is definitely plays a huge part of your credit score. The other part of that is 15% for your length of credit history. So how long you actually are keeping credit. And this is where when people pay off credit cards, very often they will close their account because they don't want to have that credit card anymore. And this is actually a red flag on your credit history. So go ahead and pay off that credit card, but go ahead and keep it open. So the way this looks is if you have a car and you're paying on it for 5 years, it will show how long you've had that loan out and how long you've been paying on the car, whatever the actual loan is. And this, the longer your credit history, the better your credit is going to be. The next part of this is 10% for new credit. So for this, it's kind of counterintuitive, but new credit and having more credit out can actually improve the score that you have. So of course you don't want to get yourself into trouble and you don't want to have too many credit cards out. But when you pull your credit history, you're going to actually see on there that there's a section that says recommends, if you don't have a lot of credit cards, maybe it recommends having another credit card to improve your score. Now this is only 10% of your credit, so not as important as the other sections of this above for the 35 and 30%, but definitely something to keep in mind. And finally, we're going to go into the types of credit used. So this is where having varied credit can help you out. So if you have a car loan, say you're paying the mortgage on your house and you have credit cards, this looks better than just having credit cards because it shows that you can be responsible paying your bills in a number of different ways, either through a car, a house, a credit card, something like that. So that is the final 10%. There are some additional items to really how you can improve your credit. One of them is to check those credit reports and see if there's any errors on it. Very often credit bureaus do make errors, and so if you catch those, you can call them up and you can get those taken off of your history. But if you don't check, you'll never know. Another thing, if you have a lot of credit card debt, one thing that you can do is try to get a credit card that has a 0% introductory rate. And what you can do is you can actually transfer the balance of one of your credit cards. Let's say you have a credit card that has 18% interest. You can transfer that balance to that 0% interest rate credit card and start paying off the interest on that instead of having to try to tackle that huge amount of interest. And this can actually help you out in the long run. Another thing is make sure you're shopping quickly for loans. So many times people will maybe try to get a car loan and they will have their credit pulled multiple times. But what you want to do is, if you're going to have it pulled multiple times, do it within the same 2-week period. If you pull a bunch of credit within the same 2-week period, that's going to show in your credit history as only one pull. So if you do it over the course of a month where you're having your credit pulled every few times, this is actually going to take a hit to your credit than if you just did it quickly within a short time frame and period of time. So this is all the main tips. Really, the takeaway from these videos are what you can do right now is make those on-time payments. Pay 2 times a month to pay your bills off faster and to pay less interest on what you owe. Don't close your accounts. Keep those accounts open. Just make sure that you're not using those accounts if you can't afford it. And take out various credits. So if you already are planning on getting that next car, take out a loan for it. Or if you're planning on paying your groceries, use that credit card and then just make sure you have the money to pay that off. And these things are going to really look good to improve your credit. And in the long run, it will help you out and help you to go further in life. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and like it down below and subscribe to our channel. Till next time.